then I eventually got about 3 offers,
Wow.
right, within the space of 2 months.
Let's get started. How did you get into the UK?
I took a plane.
Hi guys, welcome to our channel again. As you know, in this series, we're meeting with people who are very successful in their career in the UK, and we're speaking with them, asking the same question. So today I have with me someone very important, highly respected, and you'll get to meet him in a while. So welcome to the show, Mr. Timtokwe. What exactly do you do at the moment?
I'm the head of leadership consulting at SRI Executive. And that's what I do at the moment.
Let's get started. How did you get into the UK?
I took a plane.
That's very rude.
Well, yeah, getting here, well, I mean, I've been in and out, right? I did my master's here a couple of years ago, and I think that was my major first experience living in the UK. You know, there's a difference between visiting and living in the UK. So doing my master's, spending some time also working, and started off a doctorate, so I got used to the system. And but there was just something about Nigeria that I had to go back. Then again, as my career was progressing, there was a need for that international exposure in terms of my career. So yeah, the opportunity came for me to come back to the UK, and I took that up as well.
Yeah. Okay. So now that's a brilliant story, actually. So how are you doing currently? How have you been able to settle yourself? Where did you get it started in the UK? After you said you were very successful in Nigeria. How did you get started in the UK?
Yeah, getting started in the UK, I think one thing I would say to people is courage.
Yeah.
Right, courage, and being very resilient and persistent. Right. While before moving back to the UK, I was working with MasterCard Foundation. One of the best experiences I've ever had. I was loving every bit of it. And when I knew I was going to come back to the UK, I started applying for jobs. I literally started applying for jobs, and the resilience is the part that I'm not sure unfortunately, is ever going to make me sad anymore, right? Because even though I had a very, very good job, that I could still move to the UK and continue working, which they did for a bit, but I was aggressively applying, and that's one of the things I try to tell people, that just be applying. Align your CV with the job descriptions, and maybe because I was in HR consulting, so I knew some of the tricks that could get my system through the ATS system. So I was persistently applying, like no idle moment. I was even applying for fun at some point. I was using LinkedIn, basically LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn. Then there was something unique I did as well, which is to speak about the courage side of things. I knew I wanted to get into consulting. Right. So on LinkedIn, I targeted a lot of senior leaders in the consulting space. Right. Which I can probably show you some of the messages, and I was sending direct messages to them. Right. I think I sent to partners in Deloitte. I sent to the CEO of Deloitte
in the UK.
Yeah. Wow. I sent to partners across KPMG, Deloitte, BCG, McKinsey. I was literally sending emails to the CHROs, senior HR folks, and a lot of them didn't reply, and that's the worst that could happen, right? And some replied, like Wilson, Deloitte, he replied, and he said, "Oh, great." He referred me. I went through the process. Last stage, I didn't get the job. Same with KPMG. I went through the process. Then I eventually got about 3 offers. Right, within the space of 2 months. I think I started rigorous application in February of 2022. And by April, I had an offer. Wow. Yeah. However, the wow can sound like it was easy, but I can tell you, each single day, I applied to nothing less than 50 jobs, because sometimes I use LinkedIn Easy Apply. And you were strategic about it as well? Oh, yes. I was very strategic about it, because I was targeting the companies that I knew were hiring, One, I was targeting roles that I knew were in high demand. So like change management was in high demand. I wasn't going to be applying for HR. I mean, HR is everywhere, right? And because I was trying to elevate myself out of the regular HR practice, so I was applying to things around, org design, organizational design, organizational development, change management, culture transformation. And yeah, within the space of 2 months, I got like 3 offers. Yeah, I remember, and digital, and one other one that I even forgot to turn down. And I gave them my notice period. So upon coming to the UK fully, I already had an offer.
Wow.
Right.
Oh, so that was before you left Nigeria.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So I already had the offer.
Brilliant.
And I was just within my notice period, and I was literally struggling, whether to leave where I was or continue with them for a bit. But nothing is certain in life. So I had the offer before.
Wow, that's brilliant actually. So I don't need to add more to that. You've said a lot, which I'm sure the listeners have learned from. Now, how have you been able to integrate in the UK?
Okay, integrating in the UK was pretty seamless for me. Not like there were still no culture shocks, right? Like I said, I'd been in the UK for about 4 years in the past and all that. So coming back and integrating was a bit seamless because I was already used to, train system, bus system, and all of those things, banking system. I had a bank account that I wanted to reactivate and all of that. But so I was used to all of that. However, there's a different ball game in, now living, and working. So for me, it was more of understanding what was expected in the workplace in the UK. And one of the things I can say here is your interpersonal skills is almost much more important than your technical skills on the job, right? So because I was getting feedback like, oh, I don't attend socials, I don't attend this. So that interpersonal skills was very, very important. And it's also important because that is how they can get to know the authentic you. Right. That's how they can get to connect with you on a deeper level beyond, just the work that you do. I was fortunate to have gotten a good job, a good pay. And it was really a strategic role for me because one of the reasons why I wasn't getting a lot of jobs in the past, right, was because I lacked the technology or digital side of my HR consulting career. Right. And in Nigeria, it was less important, right?
Yeah,
but here,
digital.
Exactly. Right. But here, it was much more important, such that
quite advanced.
Exactly. So the offer I took was an offer that I knew was going to, give me that digital experience. And digital. I was a senior consultant in their people practice. Right. And interestingly, why I can say that formula worked for me was because at the same time I was applying, I applied to Accenture. Right. And I was actually turned down because I didn't have the digital experience. And, Accenture is very heavy on digital. I didn't have that. But after I got into and digital, I was able to build that expertise, get that experience. And upon leaving, and digital, I felt like I wanted to play in a niche space, in a space that people are not really into, and that was leadership advisory. And I had a conversation with one of my friends, and network is really good as well. Networking is extremely, extremely important. We may think networking
in the
UK, right? We may think networking is all about giving me your CV and I go and drop it in the HR. It doesn't necessarily work that way because this conversation I had with my friend Busola, we were just talking on the phone, catching up on career, and I was telling her how I really needed to make a move. And she just said to me, oh, there's a company that does leadership advisory, and one of our former colleagues just left there. Right. And I applied on the call. Like I literally applied on the call. I checked the website, I applied on the call, and fast forward, it was a rigorous process. I eventually got the job.
Wow.
Right. Just through that network. And beyond getting the job, something interesting happened. Because I had connected with that person, right? I was initially turned down.
Okay.
I was initially turned down, and I told the person that, hey, Well, I got a rejection email, and he said, "No, your CV is really great. You shouldn't get a rejection email."
So they followed up.
And he followed up with the HR, and I was recalled back.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was
Okay.
recalled back.
So that's the power of referral as well.
Power of referral, and I was recalled back, and I went through the process, really rigorous process. And I tell people sometimes the best jobs that you want to get would actually stress you. You will go through, people don't like jobs that they would have to do psychometrics, they have to do this assessment. Those are actually really good jobs. They know what they are looking for. I went through 5 stages. In one stage, I had 4 psychometrics to do, and something interesting also happened that I think I should share with people in terms of courage, right? At the last stage of that interview, I was meant to meet with the CEO of the company. And the CEO of the company, I just went to check him out on LinkedIn. I saw he had written a book. He had a lot of YouTube videos. And I was watching some of his videos. I was reading some of his books. And at that point, I had started my PhD. Right. So some of the things that he said were very useful. And I used that to connect with the CEO on LinkedIn. I sent him a personal message. Hi, nice to connect with you. I've read your book, I've watched your videos, and a lot of lessons I've taken from there are actually very useful in my PhD program that I'm using. And he replied to me and said, I know it's premature for me to respond to you, but I'm excited about the prospect of working with you as well. And I'm looking forward to learning from you, right? And something strange happened during that period. I didn't hear from them again. So I was now, the Nigerian in me was panicking. Oh, why did I send the CEO a message? Maybe he's upset. Maybe, but at the end of the day, the feedback I got was my CEO stage was cancelled and they were just going to make an offer. And I probed into it. Why was he cancelled? They were like, oh, the CEO said, I don't need to see him again. I think his courage has spoken for him. I like his boldness. I like his courage. He connected with me and I can tell the kind of person he's going to be. So yeah, I got into that company, and it was also interesting because the amount I even asked for, right? They even gave me about £30,000 more than that. So I think that's the place of courage, and the rest has been history now.
Wow. So you must be bold about exactly what you want.
Absolutely.
And reach out for those high people that you felt like, oh, they wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
Like you said, the first time you were going to be applying, you reached out to them. The worst is they wouldn't reply, right?
That's the worst.
But then you never can tell. You got some replies, and you did it again this time around, which is a bigger role, and it worked. That's beautiful. So, just the last question. If you have a chance with someone now, you said a lot already, but then just try to come down to 2 points or 3 points. What will you tell a new immigrant that's just coming, or maybe they're very new, 1 year, 2 years down the line? What would you say to them?
I think the most important thing I would say to them, and I always say to them, is leave Nigeria at MM2. Leave that mentality. Here, you have to fight for what you want. Things are not necessarily going to be handed over to you. You need to also understand it's a different culture. Yeah, a very different culture. So first of all, drop that mentality. Purge yourself of all the things you probably think you know. For example, I can speak for the space I'm in HR. We have a mindset of, I know a lot of HR in Nigeria will say, oh, generalist is better than specialist, and that's the mindset. But here, right, the career pathway here is very specialized. So if you're a specialist in OD, you are most likely going to get jobs quicker than if you're a generalist in HR. Right. And also there are things around terminologies that they use. A lot of times we may call it learning and development. Here they call it upskilling. And those tiny little details that we need to learn, there's no sentiment here. There is no sentiment here.
Are you sure?
To be honest, there is, I would say, sentiment in the sense that they can pardon you for doing something wrong, discretionary, right? But things around, I was talking to a friend recently, and she said, oh, she can't do without her phone, and she likes using her phone. And I was like, you work in a contact center, right? the policy is you should not use your phone there.
Yeah, well, you're
right. So there are tendencies for us to think, oh, is it not just phone? Did I do anything? But again, it is the policy. It is the policy. So we should learn to embrace rules, follow protocols, do things the right way. And in terms of career path, I would say you also first need to revamp your CV to make it sound like the environment that you're in, right? And I think you also need to be bold in, dialing up your distinctiveness. A lot of times, a lot of us have done great things, but we are scared to even put it on our CV. Me, I brag about all my projects. There's probably anybody that is very close to me that would not hear about Nigerian Stock Exchange, that would not hear about the CEOs I've recruited, that would not hear about, the World Bank project that I brag about it. There are headlines on my CV and all of that. So it's very important to dial all of that up. And I also understand, I don't want to sound from a place of privilege that I had it smooth. I had really great jobs. I'm heading a whole function right now. There are also people who are struggling. I hear people having like 4 or 5 CVs, one for care, one for customer service, one for this. I think it's okay to actually go through that journey as well of trying to figure yourself out.
You have a long-term view.
Exactly. It took me 10 years from finishing uni before I could find my own, 8 years before I could find my own pathway as well. So what I'll keep saying is just keep going for it. And if your plan is to have a longer term stay in the UK, be targeted about your applications. Don't just apply. Yes, there's the survival side of it, right? You need to survive, you need to pay bills, but spend more time targeting the companies that sponsor. There's a list online of companies that sponsor. Make sure you're spending your time there, and don't keep quiet. Talk to people. Reach out to people on LinkedIn, stalk people. Again, Nigerians, a lot of us have that mentality of, I don't want to view this person's profile. I don't want them to know I viewed them. What would they do? They will not beat you. So just do it. Stalk people. If you see this person works in a place you would like to work, send them a message, drop them a message. They won't reply. That's the worst. So I'll just say, change your mindset, embrace the realities of the UK, understand what the requirements of being here, and I think everyone has opportunities to succeed as immigrants.
Well, that's a whole lot, but it's very brilliant. Thank you so much for the time. If you have not, please make sure you subscribe to our channel. We have more content to give you. And let us know in the chat box as well what you think about this video. Any idea, any thoughts, any comments about anything that is said throughout, just let us know in the comment box. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye for now.